And we welcome you back on WAJR's Ask the Expert, sponsored by HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness. Tony Caridi with Mike Curley of HealthWorks. He's the clinical director, certified athletic trainer, and physical therapy assistant, and clinical director at the Big House there on Maple Drive, the main HealthWorks location. We're talking about how we can increase and improve our health span. In other words, how long in our lives can we stay healthy? As Mike said in the opening segment, oftentimes we spend more than a decade of the last years of our life kind of in decreasing health, which is no fun for anyone. And there are ways that we can control the length of that so we can live a more productive and quality span of life. We talked in the opening segment how diet and changes in our diet can help. Now we're going to focus on sleep and exercise. All right, my man, let's break it down. What do we need to know about sleep to have a better span of life?
So we need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep according to recent research. And the reason is sleep is the time in which the body rebuilds itself from the daily damage that we suffer from. So we're stressed every single day. It might be work, dealing with clients, dealing with coworkers. It might be dealing with the kids. Could be deadlines, homework, work deadlines. It could be exercise. If you exercise really hard, stress can come from anywhere.
Right.
And at night we have to rebuild the damaged muscle tissue. Let cortisol levels come down and relax. So there's an old saying that you don't get bigger in the gym. You don't get faster on the track. It's when you sleep and your brain has an opportunity to adapt to the stress that you put it through during the day. That's when it adapts. It doesn't have time during the day to adapt. It's busy digesting. It's busy taking in all types of visual and auditory sensory information. It's meeting those deadlines. It has no time to rebuild the system. And we probably rebuild most of our body cells several times throughout our lives. And if you don't get enough sleep, you're not rebuilding adequately.
Is it a natural, Mike, that as we get older, that we're just going to sleep less? And so my question, I guess, is this: is it 7 to 9 hours in a chunk, or could it be nappage in the afternoon? What's your take on that?
I think it probably needs to be all at once. Because I don't know if the body can rebuild anything in a 25-minute cat nap. And I do know people that have trouble sleeping that long. There's no doubt about it. But they might be outliers too. They might be able to heal up that quickly, or there might be something that's keeping them from sleeping.
Yeah. Suggestions on doing it? Any tips?
So I suggest, first of all, we're diurnal. Human beings are diurnal. We're meant to be up during the day in the light. So if you're keeping your lights on until 11:30 when the news is over, the late show is over, that light is keeping you up. Televisions, iPads, computers, iPhones all emit blue light.
Sure.
Blue light is something that keeps us awake at night. So I would try to avoid those for 2 to 3 hours prior to going to bed.
That long?
Also, eating. Don't eat 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. If your body is digesting particularly a protein meal, you're going to have trouble sleeping because your metabolism is revved up digesting the food. And we know that the body needs to cool down from its normal temperature to a sleep temperature. And if you're digesting something, that's not going to happen. So keep your room cool. Keep your room dark so that you don't have light emitting through the windows. And use your room for, the bedroom is meant for two things: sleep and that other thing. And that's it. That's what it's meant for. And if you have that mindset, you'll go into your bedroom and be ready to sleep.
Yeah, sleep in the bedroom. All right, next one. This is huge. Number 3 is exercise. Makes sense. Not a shocker by any stretch. Walk me through what's good exercise in your view as we get older. What do we need to be doing?
Well, any exercise is better than no exercise. So cardio is good for the brain. It increases blood pressure and pulse and pumps blood to the brain. And anytime you can get blood to the brain, blood and oxygen, nutrients to the brain, that's a good thing. But I personally feel that resistance training is probably the most important thing. Frailty is one of the leading causes of death in this country. You get old, you can't get up out of a chair, which means you can't get out of bed. You can't walk to the bathroom. You can't walk to the kitchen to prepare a meal. So I believe resistance training is probably the most important type of exercise. And we need to know that we lose 5 pounds of muscle every 10 years, starting at age 30. So by the time you get into your 70s, you've lost quite a bit of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe resistance training is the thing to do.
When you say resistance training, that obviously comes in different combinations. Give me some examples of what you consider to be quality resistance training.
So it could be free weights, which is fine, but if you can't do free weights, machine weights are better than nothing. But it could also just be body weight.
Mm-hmm.
Body weight. You need to lift to fatigue, like practically failure to build muscle. You can lift a little bit less heavy than that. So it doesn't matter if you're lifting a 10-pound dumbbell to do a bicep curl or a 25-pound dumbbell to do a bicep curl. Lift it until you can't lift it anymore.
And that's that fatigue. That'll break down muscle, and that'll
That's
build
that
other muscle.
stress, exactly. That's that stress where the brain says, we need to get stronger because this person's going to keep on trying to lift this heavy weight that it can't lift. That's the running away from the saber-toothed tiger.
Mm-hmm.
It's the adaptation.
Yeah.
To the stress.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because I'm sure you see people walk through the HealthWorks all the time that are in their upper years,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing some wild things. Well, I shouldn't say wild, but they're lifting weight, significant weight at their age, and you look at them and go, how could that person be doing that? Because they're doing it.
Absolutely. And you can start lifting at any age. You absolutely can. You might be lifting light, but if you keep on doing it, you'll be lifting heavier.
You know what, man? That's a scary stat, isn't it? That you lose 5 pounds of muscle every
10
decade,
years.
every decade after 30. So think about that, 30, 40, 50, 60. If you don't lift, you have just lost 20 pounds of muscle.
Of muscle.
So that's why when you see people and they're kind of like a shell of what they were, or their skeleton is fragile, like you said, frail, it's because that muscle's gone and you're not doing anything to put it back on there.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. That's number 2 and number 3. Diet and sleep and exercise are our 3 so far. When we come back, something you touched on earlier, stress. So we're going to talk about stress relief and environmental exposure. Mike Curley, HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness Clinical Director. We're talking about ways that we can live our life more healthy so that our last 10 to 15 years of life are not just a lingering series of illnesses that we kind of debilitate ourselves, but rather finish strong at the line.
Absolutely.
That's our goal. Back with more. WAJR's Ask the Experts, sponsored by HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness.